morning, Service Alliance community. How you all doing today? Alongside of me on this happy Monday, Doug Shear. What's up, brother?
Good morning. Is anybody working out there? I mean, it might just be you and me today, I think, right?
Yeah, we're probably... I'm not working. I'm not going to lie. I'm not working. I'm here for this, and that's that. I might have to take a trip down to Chicago if my CNC guy is actually working. Been trying to get a little piece of acrylic cut for months. So we'll see if he's actually accomplished this. Good morning, Jeremy, Adam, Jose. Yeah, here's one of us working at least.
Yeah,
we got Jeremy working.
When July 4th lands on a Tuesday, it just makes sense just to shut down on Monday as well. But there goes the revenue and the customers, right? So
right. Morning, Dr. Dan. Yeah, it's a weird time. Like we shut down the floor store because there was just no point. Like we might answer some phone calls or something like that, but as far as having the showroom open, it was just kind of pointless. Historically, we haven't had people come through.
Oh, so okay, yeah.
It seems like it'd be a really good day, right?
That's
like everyone's off. Like
right.
Historically, we've had almost no one. Huh? So
wow. Do you have one of those big lit arrow signs in the sky pointing down at your building?
No, but we just found out we can get one of those flappy, flailing, inflatable arm men, like every other week. So we're thinking about doing that.
Why not? Why not?
Don't go to the crappy guys down the street. Come to us.
That's what he's saying. Don't go to the crappy guys. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Love it.
Oh, I love it, man. Love it. Gave everyone 40. Good deal. It's a good way to go, for sure. I don't know. I've been off since Thursday, so that's here nor there. But I had fun. We had a good time. We did the zoo with some friends, as we were talking about in the pre-roll. Over 20 years I've known her, and our kids got to hang out and meet for the first time. And then Friday we did our disappear to the cabin in the woods and show back up Sunday. Yeah. I like not having cell phone service once in a while. The older I get, the more I like not having anyone able to get a hold of me.
Yeah. Same here, and that makes me sad because I know that if I try to broach this subject with my children, they're just going to think I'm some old man with no teeth, which maybe I'm close to. I don't know, but it's too bad that lands on the people of wisdom and age,
Yeah.
So
that constant contact, it wears on you over time, right? So
I have an 18-year-old in college, fresh. Going to sophomore now, right? And then 15 and 13. So I'm thinking, along with my wife at the table, although they're just going to roll their eyes, and they're the worst critics. Like you come to work and you have your critics. Mm-hmm. At home, you could be crying in the fetal position in the corner of the dining room because at any moment we all could team up and just devour one of each other, But I'm thinking about doing this exercise of having my children find a rent locally. What?
Yes. Did you know actual Independence Day was July 2nd, 1776? This means Will Smith would be fighting aliens in June.
He is, absolutely, because that's a real life situation. But anyway, I'm gonna have my kids find a rent and then find what it costs to have a cell phone and insurance and then budget for food and just maybe scare the crap out of them now that they're gonna have no money and be broke. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see if that lands and penetrates at all, or I have to buy them some like Dairy Queen ice cream after for persevering through the exercise. This thing could cost me $80, actually. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Anyway, so what are we talking about today, Zach?
We are talking about long suffering.
Amen. I can relate.
No, so the reality is one of the things that scares a lot of small business owners is bringing in people to help lead the company. And Doug and I, if you haven't paid attention at all on Monday, or maybe you're tuning for the first time. I don't know. But Doug and I both work for companies that we don't own. Like, we are the number 2 in the company. And so someone had to trust us with some leadership responsibilities to run their company. And it's a scary process, right? Having come from a position as an owner, it is there is some fear there. So I can address that side of it too, but as the number 2 in charge, we can come from a little bit different perspective and just share the successes as we try and develop other leaders alongside of us, because we can't be the only leaders in the company. There has to be other people leading within the company. And so we are talking about developing leaders within your company. Maybe you're a 1 or 2 man show and you're like, I don't know what the next step is. The next step is developing leaders within the company. Trust me, it is a next logical step. So we'll be chatting about that today. And long suffering really is a part of it, because sometimes, right, we in the description, right, there's a whole laundry list of crap that you have to do. Right? But when you come back to it and you look and you're like, are they ever going to get it? Are they ever going to understand this? At some point in time, there will be an aha moment. And I can tell you, on the other side of it, as a leader, when they have that aha moment, it is one of the best things in the world. It makes everything so worth it. It's like when your kids have that aha moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we live for. Yep, absolutely.
So I'm kind of the shock jock of us all. I'm the one who will say the things that other people won't. So cheers.
He's from Chicago, people. This is why.
Yeah. We had that whole fun conversation today too. It's been a good ADHD morning.
That's right. What is it? Is it 15 when every Chicagoan gets their first Tommy gun? Is that how that works?
That's like 12, dude.
Oh, 12. All right, my bad. I'm talking about using a gun. Let me just bring us close to prayer here. Lord God, you don't turn your head. You don't look away. You hear all the words we say, but your love is everlasting, and you know our hearts, Lord. And when our hearts are not true, and when our hearts have turned from you, you're still watching. You're still close by. You're still looking right intently at each and every one of us, and that is what separates the world and the children, your children, and yourself, Lord. So we praise you and exalt you in a way that will fall short. So God, we lift up our country to you today in prayer, and just thank you, Lord, for all the sacrifices that were made. It's not perfect, God, but we do live in a country where opportunity is abounding. And so we lift up our business owners and technicians and employees, Lord, and we just pray that they get rest this week, and that you continue to provide for our businesses. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Some good comments during the prayer. Good comments.
Oh, really? Really?
Chirac. Yes, that is a common term from people who are not from. Oh no, who am I kidding? Even the suburbs would call it Chirac. Tommy gun, how 1940s.
Yeah.
Get it together, Doug. It is like an Uzi or something like that. Mac-10, I don't know.
Yeah, so you don't know either. We should just leave Tommy gun alone. Just leave it alone, all right?
Not a clue. Anyway, let's to the topic at hand, my friend. So what do you look for in a leader? I know that was just open it right up. Right,
it's a random question.
Right into it.
I mean, the first thing, of course, is that they have to be excited about who we are and our why, right? So, matter of fact, not a leader, but I hired a technician who just seemed to be, I wouldn't say unimpressed, but just showed no true emotion or connection or excitement about what we're trying to do here. most of the time people come here, and because we spend a lot of time and investment and resources and to process and support systems and managers and people and teams to help you as a technician, most people are like, wow. Now, when they get on board, they're like, yeah, that's pretty cool, but I don't like this and this and this. It's not perfect here. It's not heaven at action, right? But yeah, this one guy, man, made it about a month and then decided to quit. So they really got to love your why and what you're all about and be invested in that. I think that's, to me, if you're not going to get anywhere if you don't get that down first.
So you think hiring leaders starts before they're recruited to be a leader? Like, do you start recruiting like from Jump Street, or do you just like, hey, I'm looking for this? Like, what's your methodology in that?
Well, don't we believe that at least half of the people that we hire or we try to hire are probably not going to want to do specifically what you're hiring them to do for the next 30 years, 20 years. And so to me, that's the idea of like, okay, who is this person and what really excites them? What's their potential and how will they fit in with our company? Not just today, because we really need a technician badly, but how could this person fit in 5 years from now? Because it would be a tragedy to have someone work for me 5 years and be great at the job and love the why and then move on. So you have to be thinking down the road as much as you are in the moment. And that's something I'm working on, trying to communicate, because I did just interview somebody that has great potential to be one of our future leaders, and he's very experienced. But how do I tell him? First, you need to come on board and you need to be a technician and you need to really know us well. And that could take a while. That could take 6 months to a year or longer or something like that. Right. And so I'm trying to figure out how you convey that without not sounding like I'm putting my hand up and brushing them off or whatever, but it could be sooner too. Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when do you really start the process? Because I was thinking about that in the flooring business that I'm running. Our salesman, I mean, the guy's been doing it forever. Like he could genuinely teach people, but he has no inclination to lead other people. He just wants to come and punch the clock and do his thing and sell some floors. And so you need people like that, right? Like you need someone who can get out there and sell your product or service, fix the appliances, whatever, answer the phones. There is a distinct need for that. But then you'll see those people that are natural born leaders, right? Natural born. They have just this hunger and this drive. Our office girl, Julie, she keeps asking me, what else can I do? What else can I take off your plate? What else can I take off your plate?
Nice.
Because I'm the one wearing all the hats right now internally, and Matt's wearing all the hats externally. And so like between the two of us, it's like, okay, I don't even know which hat I'm wearing at the moment. Right. I don't know which one to get rid of. Yeah. So she's always going, okay, so I did this, and is that okay? And it's like, yeah, no, thank you. Like, so she's developing the leader within her. And so how do I give her more responsibility? How do I give her more challenges to develop her? We don't have a position for her to be a leader yet.
Right.
But I can see the development coming in. So that's where that question kind of came from. How,
So that's the anxiety that you bring to the plate when you hire someone and you're maybe even pleasantly surprised that they have such a great potential and they have an eagerness to serve. Boy, if you're not prepared yourself as the owner or the leader, you're in big trouble, right? Because it would be tragic to lose her. And even if it wasn't, there wasn't tense and it wasn't, it didn't end ugly. Even if she just parted ways because she's like, there's not enough structure here or whatever it is, or then that makes me sad, right? So you definitely have to have a plan in place before you even decide. Now you're in transition right now, so you didn't know, and so now you have to act. You have to kind of act on the fly here, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean your next person should have to go through that, right? So
Right.
that prioritizing it right to the top. But how do you think the flooring company is doing with your purpose, your why, and your process? You think it's pretty good?
No. I think we're wearing too many hats right now. I think we're running around like, chickens without heads. Are we making progress as financially? Yeah, sure. We're hitting our target numbers and then some, which is good,
Yeah.
but you got to take care of people and then the money's going to follow. And so if you don't have the processes and the leadership and all that in place, the people aren't going to continue to follow. The money isn't going to continue to follow. And so, there's definitely things that we need to do better communication wise. Things get lost in translation. You got to find communication. I think in any business is probably one of the hardest things. There's companies that are using, there's a million different chat apps, right, for trying to communicate. There's companies using Facebook Messenger, Telegram, you name it, right? Like there's a ton of different apps out there for it. And communication is the number one hard thing in business, I think, anywhere. But our topic today is perfect for that, right? It starts at the top down. It starts with your leadership. If all your leaders are on the same page and all your leaders are communicating effectively to each other, then they can communicate effectively to the team. And you're like, well, why does that matter? That's why you need to grow leaders. Because the more layers of leadership that you have down, the more people are spread out across the team. If Matt had to handle everything while he was in the field, and I know this, having been that owner operator in the field and not having a single clue what was going on anywhere else in the company, you got to have someone that you can trust. And then they have to have someone that they can trust. And, that has to trickle down. And then the communication does begin to get better, right? You experience that in your business, right? Like you're the second layer down. And you have a third, even a fourth layer? I know you have a third layer down.
Yeah, we'll have some lead techs that will mentor technicians that report to the service manager.
Yeah.
Although I think this is the right moment to mention one of the most profound books ever, right, Zach? Are you ready for it? It's the Four Agreements, isn't it? I know you were gravitating.
What a great poster.
What you were great, right? I mean, like from the top down, we have to follow these four principles because when I took over running Action, there wasn't really a lot of standard operating procedures, and there was not a lot of direction, and so you can't just shut your business down. Or we were talking in the pre-roll that, I was asking you, what do you think some of our listeners' biggest hurdles are of developing leadership? And pamphlet at best. Come on, that's because you don't understand the big words, Rob. It was redacted.
There was like 3 big words in that whole book.
Oh yeah. So, gosh, you can't do that. I get distracted. What was I saying? So you and I, but I'm farther along than you are. You're now in this this cloud closet garage building with everything everywhere. And now you just kind of have to begin to take parts of the business and organize it, right? And then identify people that you can have help run it. So here's where the Four Agreements really come in play from the top down, because you are from the Chicago area, Zach. So your reaction could be a little salty or bitter, or like Rob's, right? So being impeccable with your word, right? Recognizing that, the words you use help people understand what's the next step, right? And sometimes we don't know the exact words, but we have to be the best we can, right? And don't take things personally. I mean, gosh, you and I would be angry every day, right? Because of what customers and employees and maybe even the owners say and do, but they're not doing it to piss us off. They're not doing it to upset us. They're just being themselves. So we can't take it personally, right? We have to be smarter than them to figure out what happened and what went wrong. And, don't make any assumptions, right? We can't assume that we believe the other person is, doing something. So you just got to dive in and talk to them. And then just always remember doing your best. Your best is different every day. And if your knee hurts on one day and it's raining out and you're all wet for 2 hours straight, whatever the situation is, your best is, what the best it is for that day. And you start fresh anew another. So to me, if we don't model that from the top down, my grouchiness, my disappointment, my regrets, my insecurities, they all go down the line. So it does start with us for sure.
And I can I live that out. I look back at the appliance company, I'm like, oh crap. I owe every single employee a men's good night, right? Like just that, and it was because I didn't. So hear this, guys. If you are a 1 or a 2 man show and you are scared to have leadership, you are scared to have someone run interference, do it. You need someone to run that interference. You need someone that when you can't separate, not taking it personally, you have someone that can not take it personally for you, right? Sure. Like, so upset customer, and maybe you were the technician, the owner operator that went out on that job. And that customer's calling and they're mad and there's no reason for them to be mad in your mind. You need that middle person. You need that leader, right? So say Jay went out on a call, just using this as an example. Jay went out on a call and this customer is fuming now. Doug is there to run interference on that. Doug is there to not take it personally on behalf of Jay, right? You need that in your business because sometimes we're human. Listen, we can't separate it. Try as I might, there's times where I cannot separate and I have the hardest time not taking it personally. I'm running interference from Matt right now. He's got a call that he went on. We did nothing wrong. The customer is legitimately crazy, but I'm not taking it personally because I wasn't on the job. I wasn't the one that was installing the job. So I'm able to be that interference for him. So building up leaders in your company, sometimes it's a protection for you. Sometimes it is, once you've instilled those core values within that company, it is a bubble to protect you from yourself.
But Zach, do you realize as you shared that all those who have a type A personality that are running their own company, they're like, no, I'm in control of all that. I can't trust anyone to handle situations for me because I don't know that they're going to do it the way I want it to. At some point, like Jay at Action Appliance, actually he did this early on. That's where he was gifted. He was willing to, once the why and who we are was laid out, let people like me do my best impression. And then it became who I am. And now it's authentic. And I feel like this is my company. This is how I believe it. So now I want that to run down the line to the technician. Because when I was a technician, that's how I felt as well. Like, this is my customer. In my company, how would I want to handle this? So yeah, Jay was great at that, but I can see a lot of other people maybe, and it's not because Jay's better or worse. You have your strengths and your weaknesses. If that's a weakness of yours is to trust, and you have a fear of letting go and letting people go, the only reason why you should be afraid is if your people don't know what the heck you stand for. If they don't know what matters most to you, then you should be nervous. But if you've conveyed that message clearly and it's in written form and in verbal and one-to-one meetings and in group meetings, if you invest there, you're going to be fine. Now you have to let them lead, right?
It's the pick on Doug Club in the comments, by the way. It's kind of funny.
Is that what's going on right now?
Yeah, I was trying not to, digress us too much. Wayback Machine. Who would have thought Doug would be talking about books? Amazing. There is hope, guys.
There is.
Coming from the other child in the audience, our good buddy Rob Jones. Only when they have pictures, but there's hope. It's like the day he buys the bike and exercises. That may be, this is what happens when you get to know people. Well, there's ribbing that happens, like Doug getting signed up for a 5K. That's the day after. Well, long way to go. Yeah,
we do have a long way to go. Not you though, Saul, because I heard Florida's sinking into the ocean, so you don't have as much time as I do. So
that time is ticking down.
Yeah.
No, but it is important. It is important to be able to trust the people that you've employed, and really the only way to hire trustworthy and people that can be leaders within your company is if you know who the heck you are. So if you don't know who the heck you are, if you haven't figured out who you are, what you stand for, as a business, as a person, get some time away. Good. You know what? You need the next 2 days off, 3 days off. Take this long holiday week and get away and figure out who you are right now. Because the best time is today. The worst time was, or the better time was yesterday, right? The worst time is waiting till tomorrow. If you have feelings, I would be hurt. Not taking it personal. That is the fun in it all. But yeah, you need to figure out who you are and what you stand for as a company right now. Because you can't bring anyone else into your business if you don't know who you are.
I would say if you don't have the time or you don't believe it's important to put aside some time just to take a blank piece of paper and write down what's so exciting to you about your business. What do you think customers would say about your business that's excellent? Then you don't have time to hire. You shouldn't hire people and you shouldn't develop leadership. It's that important, I think. Because they're not going to get it right right away. It's going to be a time of growth and understanding and working well together, and so there has to be a lot of patience and a lot of time spent with that. So you better like yourself and what you stand for before you have to like people. Imagine me having to work with Rob. Like that would be like really difficult.
No, you would have fun. I know you would have fun working.
Yeah, because if he doesn't line up, I have a pipeline that pushes him out really fast. So.
No, but so to your point there, do you feel like we've spent more time missing the mark and continuing on working to be better ourselves as we teach others to be better themselves? Because I, by no stretch of the imagination, hit the mark. Even close to half the time at this point, right?
But at the end of every day, right, Zach, if we work really hard and we don't let what people say and do, like Saul and Rob, we don't take it personally, and we just assume that they don't have a lot going on in their lives, and that's why they're this way. At the end of the day, we did the best we could. Mm-hmm. We did the best we could on July 3rd.
Sure.
Start the next day afresh and new. That's what has to happen from the top down, because what I see today and what Rob sees at Samsung is the people that he leads can be discouraged at times with things that go wrong that are out of their control. And Rob has to be, and he is, by the way, I mean, even though he's a big jerk, he is a great person and a great leader that can come alongside and encourage them and say, hey, I've been there. Don't worry. What happened? Let me see if I can give you some advice. I don't want to fix it for my service managers or my office manager, my parts manager. This year, I've been doing a lot of that, which makes me wonder, am I not being an effective leader from the top down? Am I giving them the opportunity to have an education? Am I setting goals for them so that they can begin to move forward? Right? It's all going to be our fault all the time, right, Zach? So if they don't develop as leaders, what did you do wrong? Mm-hmm. How did you fail them? Right? And you have to be careful to decide, I think I hired the wrong person. So if you don't have the what and the why and the process and regular meetings and accountability and goal setting, if you don't have that with your team as a leader, then it's going to always be your fault.
And there's one more piece to that, and I put it in the description. Did you invest in your people? Did you invest in them getting training? Because guess what? You're not necessarily the best trainer for them. They might need something else. They might need someone else to come alongside them and develop these other skills, because you're hiring people. You're bringing along other leaders who have complementary skills. So guess what? You can't develop those skills because you don't have them.
That's right.
So you might have to send them somewhere to develop those skills. And are you investing in that? If you're not investing in that, it's on you. It's on you. And you have to take the time. You know what I mean? You're never too late. Just go back and watch it at the end. You could. It's all on YouTube. Watch it again later. I wouldn't, but that's just me. I can't watch myself. I don't know about you, Doug, but I can't go back and watch myself.
I did it once, and then I found out my microphone didn't work, so nobody even shared that. So it was just me not sounding well. But yeah.
Now the seriousness
I feel like what I know we have to go, but what do you think is the number one? There's several reasons why people in our community haven't grown or developed leadership, because they're doing it all themselves. And like you hiring somebody and maybe they're experienced or not, and you teach them to be a technician, and you put them on the road and they go do service calls. That's not leadership. Whenever you tell someone, hey, go here and do this, go organize this parts room, that's not leadership. That's delegating out tasks. But like, what do you think the number one fear out of a few, I think there are, that are in our community that hurdle the concern about making the baby steps of having all that happen?
Well, I think so many do it in the manner that you just described, myself included in that, right? And then the next piece would be what Saul is talking about right here. Don't fall in love with someone who isn't going to develop.
Yeah.
Take the loss and move on. Pour it into someone who wants. Like, I think it's, we find the wrong people, and then we pour so much time into it, and then we get burned, and then we take too long to move on, right? Or we don't ever take the chance at all. We just figure, you know what, they're not going to figure it out anyway, so I'm just like, why bother? But I think this is great advice. Like, be slow to hire and fast to fire, but make damn sure that you have done everything in your power to develop them, to make them a better employee, to make them a better leader, to make them better at whatever you hire them for. You better have done your job to the best of your ability before you fire.
Within reason, though, Zach.
Well, there's.
Well, no. I'm just thinking, because that could swing it to the other side of like, I'm never going to be ready. I'm not prepared.
Sure.
I need it to be perfect before it launches. There might be some sacrifices to be made. I can tell you, there's a couple people that had worked for me that I could have maybe done a better job. It is a two-way street. I think early on, if you don't have staff or if you don't have leadership yet, or you want to grow that, you do need to take a person that's got a thick skin, that can adapt, that can be patient and forgiving and move on. Right? Maybe, like, I think at this point now, we have such a decent process. I can hire somebody to plug in into an area and they can do their thing. But early on, we got to be nimble, and we have to be able to overcome our mistakes learning as leaders.
And I think that's a great point. And I think that's the other side of what I was trying to talk about is it's not going to be perfect, right? And you are going to make mistakes, and you are going to hire the wrong person. It is going to happen. And so you do have to be willing to, number one, take the chance to hire someone who may not be the perfect person because you don't necessarily know what you need yet. But then begin to work the process, begin to develop the process and figure out, the ins and outs and make sure everything in your power is done. And if they're still not the right person or it's not the right seat, because maybe, they're going to be a killer technician or they're going to be a killer call taker, right? Move them to the right spot if it's right, or move them out. That is entirely up to who you are as a person and who it is as a company. But don't let that fear of perfect. I've said it before. I love this little acronym. It is one of my favorite in the world. As someone who struggles with perfectionism and ADHD, GETMO. Good enough to move on. Is it good enough to move on? Do you have enough of the qualities that you're looking for in this person to develop them, train them, run for a while, and see what happens? Good enough to move on, guys. We've lost Doug. He's gone off.
I'm taking notes. This is good stuff.
No, this has been a fun topic. We could talk for hours on this. We probably shouldn't, but we could. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments. Shoot us a message. Shoot us a private message, whatever, on Facebook. Reach out. And let's have a conversation. Let's continue the conversation because it is a big, scary thing, especially if you're only one or two man. It does take some time to develop on. So with that being said, it does look like Mike and Jason are going to be on tomorrow morning. So if you ain't doing anything on 4th of July, come and join those boys, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And we'll see you next time, guys. Have a good day. Always fun, Doug.
Thank you. Bye, guys.